My attention has just been drawn to a speech delivered by former President Nana Akufo-Addo whilst addressing workers on the 1st of May 2022. At that address, the General Secretary of TUC pleaded with His Excellency that, Mr. President, the price of petroleum products are going up. So, Mr. President, with respect, intervene, and I give the date, 1st May 2022. So please, Mr. President, intervene by cushioning. I don't know if your producer is here, Shadrach. Shadrach, please. It's a news report by TV3. Play it. I want to seed the rest so that I am not accused of misleading the public.
You see, this hypocrisy must stop. Look, I've had the benefit of being in government and working at the Ministry of Energy. And so the last thing that I want to play politics with is petroleum pricing.
Why?
Because it's not within your control, largely. The FOB price that he makes reference to. How is that within the control of President Mahama and his government? How is it within his control? He should put it out now for Ghanaians to see that this is where government is making the 2 cedi reduction from, so we can assess to see whether indeed and in fact there's more that can be done, or that indeed government ought to be commended for.
The Ghanaian politicians omoye amayensa asifom. But say before you avail yourself to be called a politician, your first motive or goal should be say you are ready to serve the country and you are ready to serve the people in the country. But say Kobase crisis be a see at memufonu e kwa him. Now you as a politician when you ebeji because say over opposition, then what is the essence of calling yourself or being a politician? What you as side we NDC for AAB, NPP for so AAB. Currently amene wo e kan say fuel bo ekosoro. Na say wo hwe those in opposition na say crisis be say eba na kire say anigye abom akomo because those things no and the government in power no. And I say party in power no aye unpopular no more opposition no omo anya hode akasa na chese timamufuo no atie omo asem na ebia se du abato bra ya to aba no e de ama omo asem ya make NDC for omo opposition na omo eyebi NPP opposition na omo so eyebi but e was sanka opposition no wo aban mu wo dwi timamufuo no eho ene wo man no ho kane. But the Kobase crisis be a na government in power no so was struggle to solve it. Na wo opposition as wani ebeji dia na akonya na wo pese wo ba ban mu no o ba de ben na o ba be because those crises you are also going to meet it. Ultimate can't tell me say we be ba ban mu wo nhia akonhia bi asebe ebe ma ne ho akere no. Emna na NPP for ewo ho bibi esi ya bukwa mo kirem na da bia ye ka COVID-19 sisi NDC for ewo ho yi omo so ahia ahokyele bia sisi ya ema omo ho epipa obo fuel boy ya akosuri wahu discussions bi ekoso on TV3 na lawyer Edudzi Tamakloe one Agyapa Mercer na omo have some banter bi on the show. Na lawyer Edudzi Tamakloe all can any says wo hwe NDC abanyuko no led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Say crisis be eba eho na wo demonstrate say we a good leader because emle bi atwam fu obo ekosoro ema His Excellency oye na dwen say obebua ama ebo no akofom a o subsidy what you see eduba bi nso ebo no ekofom kura emoye na dwen say yemfa wan si de bi enposo sane ebe ya ye di sa wan si de no ebe ye bibia no nso ebebua na se ebebua no ekosoro ye yi edi afri ho ye yi na ye bedi ho danse e wo Ghana memu ha ba kelentra me wo e ka say fu obo akosoro ema His Excellency John Dramani Mahama or say diesel price no baby adru no or subsidize 2 cedis and say 1 gallon of diesel we benya 9 cedis e dey free so but we na Edudzi Tamakloe all can say Nana Akufo for the time na owa aban mu no okohie to the TUC for ebra na wo no edi nkomo no omu general secretary SLA say ahokyera ba fu obo akosoro ebeya nkanana bua na tibo no so kakra emaye Nana Akufo-Addo na no yiye na ode emaye no Edudzi Tamakloe aka no say video we mu na kire say wo de compare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama na enye because sa ho kire eba Mahama ohu Ghana fo mobo na wate wo mo house ba na Nana Akufo-Addo o ka kora ontie eno na Edudzi Tamakloe or yes argument no on the show eno Agyapa Mercer wa be kan say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama time na NPP wa ba mu ho kire eba ye wo say external factors can never affect the economy of this country but say wo wa ba mu na say problem bi asi na say oh so via wo say yemo yensem enfo ma wona the external factors can affect this country ana e the Agyapa Mercer so na all cancer asemo no but me the best politicians you are there for the good people of this country. You are there for the country. Obi eba was say oba be serve. But oh share the behavior of our politicians nowadays. So opposition as a crisis be esi pe na just when ya hoden. Into omo pa your moboda bia. Eni sa anka how be emra na government in power no. Na ho entry no. Say be on benya message. But se ko ba sa na nkrofo na wo dwen omo ntia obese oba ban mu no. Na ene ekosi say eyi program e wo Asempa TV so. And I say Asempa FM. What you see? It's the best politicians no. Omuma omayi hu dadwin eye omo dadwin. As ye ko how be more omayi hu say they also think about the country. No more the give you come from the government in power. Say they be ye na be free classes anymore. Because all of us are going to support together. Oko filling stations is here. You can say NDC ni. To say NPP ni. To say ye na ye be suffer. It is a more opposition as a boniji abra crisis be about the and say most selfish interest in ena mode ewo ho a mo pe abamu aba se ne bidi kan e kan ye no NDC fo obo opposition na omo ye bi NPP nso obo opposition na omo eye bi enti is about time we se ye nyina edume bi a ye fa politics eto nchen na ye nyina ye dwen as one people ye pese Ghana etumpon ye tumi take some decisions a ebeboa o man menua mayenkune nkutie discussions a e course e wo hwe no eso mesro unya en subscribe ya na wa subscribe edi ama me like video na share ma unya bi no no so unya bi enhwe yakobo yishira na onka wo yenkohwe video no.
You will notice that there are three critical determinants of prices: the FOB, the exchange rate, and the component of taxes. Taxes and everything is about 21-23%. The impact of the cedi fluctuates depending on how the exchange rate is. But the FOB component is about 60%. So if you are putting weight on them, you will see that the weight attached to the FOB component is very high. So anytime that changes, the impact is always massive. However, the impact on the exchange rate on the pricing is more direct and immediate. So you notice that the pricing is done in windows. So an average of the FOBs are picked. Then, the FOBs like maybe 14 days. Then an average is struck. That is what we use for the purposes of the computation. Roland, as we speak, under the able leadership of President John Dramani Mahama, in the midst of the global uncertainty, the president didn't fold his arm. The president took a leadership position and said, let the state intervene by absorbing the skyrocketing fuel prices. I want to submit today that has brought significant relief to our people. 2 cedis on every liter of petrol, diesel for close to 2 months. That is significant. You cannot underwrite. What it simply means is that for every gallon of diesel purchase, the state is giving you 9 cedis. I'm trying to see whether this thing had happened in the last few years, but for President John Dramani Mahama. I cannot conclude my submission by making this reference. My attention has just been drawn to a speech delivered by former President Nana Akufo-Addo whilst addressing workers on the 1st of May 2022. At that address, the General Secretary of TUC pleaded with His Excellency that, Mr. President, the price of petroleum products are going up. So, Mr. President, with respect, intervene. And I give the date, 1st May 2022. So please, Mr. President, intervene by cushioning. I don't know if your producer is here, Shadrach. Shadrach, please. It's a news report by TV3. Play it. I want to seed the rest so that I am not accused of misleading the public.
Which was the insert of the president
during
the May Day parade.
May Day parade. President Nana Akufo-Addo. I want to see the rest of my time. It's just a 2 minutes video.
To what end and purpose?
The purpose is to demonstrate that 2 presidents had the opportunity to respond to a direct concern of the people of this country. What one said.
Or during the crisis period.
Or during crisis period. What one said and what the other has done. In the specific instance, I recall President Nana Akufo-Addo made the point in response to workers of this country that my government is unable to do anything about the prices. In fact, he makes the point that if he intervenes, government is going to lose taxes. So he opted to protect tax revenue instead of providing any form of relief for our people. I think at this point, and since the incest is a TV3 incest, I would make this humble prayer, Roland, a very humble prayer, that my exhibit 1 for A1, no, this one will be exhibit A for A1. Please play that insert. I see the rest of my time.
Well, if Shadrach gets the insert, then he will play. Yeah. So there's a question I want to ask. On the 16th of July, there was an announcement of an increment by one of the OMCs. Then 21st, and then also 24th. That's 3 days later. Then 2 days later, there was another increment that was announced. But yet you say the pricing window and the considerations thereof that are made is a 2-week period. Why did we have that in a space of some 10 years?
Excellent. So what happened? And in fact, this issue, myself and my directors reached out to COMAC and reached out to the seaboard people that there is a window pricing. But we have noticed that within that window, okay, they have taken steps contrary to what has been agreed. And so between us, and you see, I do not want to run an authority that works arbitrarily. And so I have to reach out to these 2 key stakeholders. We have arranged a meeting even today to address that legitimate concern. So it's a matter. In fact, the meeting was supposed to have happened yesterday. Unfortunately, one of the key stakeholders was actually not within the jurisdiction. And so it's a major concern for the authority. Okay. But we do not want to operate an authority that is whimsical. We want to engage stakeholders and then we'll know. But again, my prayer this morning is that my exhibit 1 or exhibit A be played. I want our people to have a feel in terms of leadership response. Roland, I submit accordingly. May I yield back?
Agyapa Mercer, your response to the matters that have been put before us and the response from Edudzi.
It's surprising that today we are being told that we should praise the man who told Ghanaians when he was in opposition that events that were taking place 7,000 kilometers beyond the shores of Ghana could never, under any circumstance, have any impact on our petroleum pricing in Ghana in 2022. We should praise him today for providing relief in response to matters that are happening 8,000 kilometers away from Ghana. You see, this hypocrisy must stop. Look, I've had the benefit of being in government and working at the Ministry of Energy. And so the last thing that I want to play politics with is petroleum pricing.
Why?
Because it's not within your control, largely. The FOB price that he makes reference to. How is that within the control of President Mahama and his government? How is it within his control? But in 2022, when FOB prices, when the Brent crude price increased as a result of the invasion, the Russian-Ukraine war, to $125 per barrel, he told us that there was no way that could impact the petroleum pricing here in Ghana. So why today?
He said that?
Absolutely. Your Shadrach hasn't got that tape. You haven't seen it before.
Shadrach, do you have that tape as well? Please
Stop
look
it.
for it.
Stop.
It's a morning of
And
tapes.
let nobody tell us that His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo's government did not respond. Because you know, as a matter of fact, that the price stabilization recovery levy was suspended during that time. That had the direct physical bearing on government revenue. Last time out in April, what did they do? When they announced the reduction in the petroleum pricing, the relief, do you know what they did? It had no physical impact whatsoever. The excess funds that they had in UPPF, and how UPPF operates is as simple as this. There's a fund that is sitting at MPA that doesn't impact the public purse at all, that we all pay into to ensure that petroleum prices are uniform across the country. That fund is used to pay transporters to move the products from the depots to the fuel stations, right? They then make payments out of the fund based on claims. So most often, indeed and in fact, sometimes the monthly claims exceeds the receipts that they get into the fund. Sometimes it's less. So the fund sits there and accumulate funds to pay the monthly claims. They had excess in that fund. That's what they used to then pay for the suspension of the months that they had removed those levies from the petroleum price. They should tell us what they are doing today.
The UPPF.
What they are doing, the 2 cedi, where it's going to come from. They should tell the good people of this country.
Where's it going to come from?
Yes, because they couldn't sustain the UPPF removal for long. Doing so would have meant that government will have to find money elsewhere to pay the transporters. So after 1 month of that suspension, they went back. So they should tell the people of this country which line item and all the components that go into the price build-up is known. He knows it. I know it. Which tax component is being reduced to provide the cushioning for the people of Ghana. And then we support the cushioning. And we think that government should do more. Because even if you offset the 1 cedi Dumso levy that they imposed when they came into government, when they told us that it's only a competent government that can impose taxes and levies for prices to remain stable and not increase, per John Dramani, the finance minister, it's strange. I haven't heard from him since these issues came up.
The energy minister.
He's become a mumu all of a sudden. He's forgotten how to speak.
John Dramani.
Have you heard him speak on the petroleum price increases? Because of the muff that he made in parliament.
Muff.
But what else can you describe it? He knows the facts.
So let me get this straight, Mr.
He knows the issues, but they sit and pretend as if to say that some other government was wicked and Mr. Mahama is a good guy.
Okay.
When you know that he's not.
So let me get. Can I deduce from your submission that you, in principle, because of where you worked and how you worked as a deputy minister or at the energy ministry, you support in detail the 2 cities? But you're asking the question, where is it going to come from?
Absolutely. They should tell the good people of Ghana that, look, there are these line items of taxes and levies, margins. We are reducing the Dumsor levy, or we are suspending the imposition of the Dumsor levy. We are reducing energy sector recovery levy. We are reducing so much so that there is clarity. So we can monitor and see the fiscal impact and what it's going to have on our public finances going forward. But to come and announce a blanket 2 cedi reduction without disclosing where that 2 cedi is coming from the price build up, for me is deceptive. Because if, like they did the other time, it had no fiscal impact, but it made it look as if to say, oh, government was carrying some burden on behalf of the people of Ghana. It did not. This
is not a burden that the government is absorbing.
But I'm saying the government did not carry it. It is the taxes, the levies that we are paid into the UPPF fund to pay the transportation of the products from the depot to the filling stations that they suspended for a month because there's some excess money sitting in that fund. That money does not go to the consolidated fund. Attăcks, my good friend and brother, the finance minister, has no control whatsoever on the funds. But there are taxes and levies, including the price stabilization, that goes to the consolidated fund. That has physical impact on government finances. If they forfeit some of that because on the other side, they are getting a huge windfall from the crude price increases, that would be a real burden relief. That's what I'm saying. That they should disclose where the 2 cedis is coming from, so we can assess to see whether indeed and in fact government is cushioning Ghanaians or it could do more. Because it cannot be that with the exchange rate that we're seeing today, relative to what it was in 2022, 2023.
What was it in 2000?
It was high. It was 17, 14 cedis when we're leaving government. The exchange rate today is 11. The price, and of course the crude, was 125 in 2022. If you look at the relationship between the two, government should be doing more for the people of Ghana at this time.
Not just 2 cedis.
Not just 2 cedis. And it's important for them to disclose. And he sits here, he's worked the numbers, he knows the numbers. He should put it out now for Ghanaians to see that this is where government is making the 2 cedi reduction from, so we can assess to see whether indeed and in fact there's more that can be done, or that indeed government ought to be commended for what it has done at this point.
You support the 2 cedi absorption, but here you think government is being deceptive.
Absolutely. Any relief that has to come to Ghanaians. Of course, I go to the fuel station as well. And any relief comes to me as well, I benefit. And so any relief that government can provide for the people of Ghana, certainly we will support.
Okay.
But I'm saying that be transparent, be open with us.
All right.
Tell us which line item in the petroleum price build-up where this 2 cedi is coming from. And importantly, apologize to the people of Ghana for deceiving them in the past that external factors had no impact on our petroleum prices, when indeed and in fact you knew that it did. You ought to be apologizing.